It is World Lion Day this week. The king of the jungle has a roar that can be heard up to 8 kilometers away, and lions are the only cats who roar together. Lions are also the only cat species with tassels at the end of their tails. Lionesses rear their cubs together in a happy family dynamic. Oh, and lion cubs are born with spots, which fade as they grow. Welcome to Kaleidoscope, where we are positive, daring, different. On the show today, towards a smart state, tariff truths, and raising generations with coffee. Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember to subscribe, follow, and like us for more. And here's a big thank you to our wonderful partners, SriLanka Life, CDB, and The Daily Morning. Thank you.
She wins with CDB Wings, exclusive financial solutions for women.
And this is our look back at the week that was. It's CDB Snapshot. Sri Lanka's official reserve assets are up by 1% to $6.14 billion in July. And worker remittances are up by 23% year-on-year up to July to nearly $698 million. Sri Lanka beats key IMF set fiscal targets for June with a budget surplus of 859 billion rupees, exceeding the target of 130 billion. And 3 Sri Lankans making history: Ishara Nanayakkara, one of the 5 billionaires in South Asia; Yevan David, the first Sri Lankan in FIA Formula 3 for season 2026, and the Sri Lanka Navy's Lieutenant Koyan Chamitha is the first Sri Lankan to complete the US Navy underwater demolition SEAL training. India's Guwahati International Airport wins the International Architectural Award for 2025. A bright orange bird, rescued and thought to be exotic, turns out to be a seagull covered in curry.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. SriLanka Life.
Welcome, this is SriLanka Live News Capsule. Sri Lanka heaved a sigh of relief when a few weeks ago, US President Donald Trump signed an executive order reducing the tariff imposed on Sri Lankan goods from a whopping 44% last April to 20%. The biggest relief, however, could be heard from the apparel industry, which exports about 40% of its products to the US and brought in roughly $1.9 billion last year. But is all what it seems? On Kaleidoscope News Capsule, we discuss the cascading implications and nuances of the mechanics and real-world impacts with Secretary General of the Joint Apparel Association Forum, Yohan Lawrence. Tariff being reduced to 20%. It sounds like a straightforward win. Is it that simple, or are there any hidden complexities we need to be aware of?
The US, prior to April, we had what we called the MFN tariff. So every single garment, depending on the type of product, had a tariff rate. And then this reciprocal tariff came on top of that. It was originally 40, then it was brought down to 10, and now it's at 20. So where we are at is that every item of garments that go into the US will have an MFN tariff, which could be anything between 6 and 30%, and then on top of that, a 20%. So the earlier 10% doesn't apply anymore. That's now into the 10. I think it's a win in the sense that Sri Lanka has always argued for parity of tariffs with our competitors. That's what's important to us. So in that respect, it's a win. It's a qualified win because I think this tariff is still going to pass on to the consumer. This is going to have an impact on demand on the US. That's going to have an impact, obviously, directly on us. So, because it's not just apparel, this tariff runs across a whole host of other things. So what's left to be seen, I think, is the impact that it's going to have on the US customer.
Was the industry actually anticipating such a large reduction in the context?
We were hoping for something in this sort of region. There were I think President Trump at one point had talked of smaller countries all being in a sort of 10 to 15% bracket, so there was like an outside chance. But I think we have to be realistic that there was always an end objective to raise tariffs to raise revenue, so it's a trade-off. So I think we were, 20 is probably the lowest that we felt we would be okay with, if that makes sense. We were hoping for something closer to 15, but at the 20, it's still, again, it's just the fact that it's an equalizer.
Are there any ongoing negotiations or lobbying in the process to reduce this even further?
So if you read the notice that came out, what it talks of is says this has been done because Sri Lanka is in one of those countries that is in the process of finalizing an agreement. And I think the key is to make sure that we get the agreement finalized. And then as we do that, we would then be to look to see, and I guess in that conversation in terms of finalizing the agreement, I guess there's going to be some give and take, and we would kind of obviously hope that that would be able to be lowered even further. I think more also recognizing everything that Sri Lanka has done, the ethical manufacturing footprint, the sustainability piece, try to see how we can argue a case that Sri Lanka is slightly different to some of our other competitors. But yeah, the goal would be to try to bring that down further as we get to this final agreement that is pending, because this is a stopgap. This is a stopgap until the agreement is signed.
So within the apparel industry, is there any specific product category or segments that will actually benefit more than the others?
So if you look at the discounts to the USA's MFN rates, and these vary quite a bit. Cotton products are generally lower duties, synthetic products are higher duties. So I think that, obviously a product that's already at a 30 or 35% duty to MFN duty, to have another 20 on top of that, it's going to make the product expensive. So I think within the mix, there will be certain categories, the lower tariff-based categories, because I think the impact on the customer is going to be less there.
Yohan, $1 million question. What lessons has the industry learned from this?
So I think the way US is approaching trade is a lesson for all of us. You can't take anything for granted. You absolutely have to be sharp as a tack here. And I think we also have to realize that this is going to pivot how world trade operates, and this could have implications in terms of other trade agreements and so on. So I think the big learning is that our old way of doing things is probably not going to work anymore. And we're going to have to find a way to deal with this new world order.
And so here's what happened with our markets this week. On the Colombo Stock Exchange, the all-share price index continued to hover close to the 20,000 point mark, with daily turnover levels at an average of 7 billion rupees. Oil prices fall to $63 per barrel as OPEC Plus and EIA both increased production levels, leading to lower prices. Gold prices remain strong and at near all-time highs, above $3,350 per ounce, supported by a weaker dollar after mild US inflation data raised expectations of a US interest rate cut in September. China's first ever fully autonomous AI robot football match happened last weekend, and the results were hilarious. From traffic fines to streamlining state payments, GovPay is reshaping how citizens interact with government services. We speak to ICTA board member Harsha Purasinghe on tackling corruption, driving digital adoption, and what's next in the bold push to make Sri Lanka's public services smarter, faster, and cleaner. Harsha, welcome. Congratulations on GovPay. What exactly is GovPay?
So GovPay is the government's digital payment platform where any citizen from anywhere can pay for any government service. Simple as that. Using your banking channel. So how you pay is through your usual internet banking or mobile banking or a fintech app. Through that, you can pay to any of the government GovPay associated services.
So, Traffic Fine app is the one that you launched most recently. What has the response been like, and how does this app actually work?
We started with the Western Province, so we conducted an extensive workshop involving all the police traffic officers in the Western Province, and we just launched on 4th of August. And by now, we have crossed over 700 fines being paid, or 1 million worth of fines have been paid through GovPay option.
Is there a way that people can actually circumvent the app and, we go back into that milieu of bribery and corruption?
If somebody does not have a smartphone, you can simply call a friend or someone else to pay on behalf. So that is first option. The other option is you can go to the good old post office and do the same old fashion. So that option is still there. We have not taken it out. So how it works is you get a fine, you charge for offense. Then the police officer will ask, okay, Savithri, you have crossed the double lines. This is the fine you have to pay. Then you say, can I pay using GovPay? Then he will give you a temporary number, temporary driving license number. He might not even issue it. You don't need to issue because you are paying then and there. So actually you need to fill a fine sheet now. So you put that details on your internet. If you go to internet banking, you go to GovPay, let's say Slave Island Police Station, you select Slave Island Police Station, then a digital form will appear. You fill the form and pay, then it will deduct from your bank account and it will immediately credit to the police account digitally, and that police officer will get a SMS message. So police officer will show you the phone number that you need to enter into the form. So simply, it's a very simple process. That's how it works. Then you collect the license and just move on.
How do you ensure that there is protection of data, of the security of your data, personal and financial information?
GovPay is inside the internet banking system. So it's very well protected. So if you want to hack into that, first of all, you need to hack into the bank's internet banking. So due to that, since it's wrapped within, it's very secure. And also, this is powered by none other than SriLanka, the national payment switch. That company has done all the extensive penetration tests to vulnerability tests to security sets, especially with SriLanka cert, SL cert. So all those things are taken care of. We are continuously looking at, even when we bring other mechanism, other instruments, we are looking at those data protection angle as well as security angle when we roll out the services.
So do you see GovPay as the long-term solution to streamline the government's revenue collection?
I see no reason why we can't achieve ₹1 billion in 12 months and aim for $1 trillion in 4 to 5 years. If you can do that, if you aim for $1 trillion, you're adding nearly $3 billion to digital economy.
This week on Life in 60, we raise our mugs to a Colombo icon, the Commons Coffee House, celebrating 25 years of brewing, coffee, culture and community. But Commons is more than just a coffee spot. Since opening its doors in 1999, Commons has been the heartbeat of Flower Road.
We set up our businesses during the war. The war ended in 2009, we had a good run to this Sunday. It was a good time. Then after that was a bad time. So in the 20 years, I've seen the good and the bad, and I've seen many people go through my programs. I've seen generations that come through the Commons. The lead tagline is raising generation, Commons Coffee. Right? It was Ashi's daughter, and I was raising. So it's generation that's seeing this. And you know, the people that started at Harpo daycare, they got married, they got children here. It's a school of really to see that happen.
Now it's back with a bold new vibe. Think cane-fitted interiors, vibrant colors, and art by local talent, and the menu, spirited and vibrant. Commons is baking its own breads, and the popular roti cart has been added for that extra vibe.
Commons is scalable brand. So Commons Court opened up last year, it's been a year. So we look at opening more Commons. Bailiff is Bailiff, my home. Big areas, yes, we will obviously scale pizza businesses from it.
And so, hop on over to where friendships spark, ideas are brewed, and generations find their corner of comfort. So here's your weekly reminder to find the good in the bad. We will see you next week.